because I also had rumors about Bank of Uganda.
The impunity of Among was enabled by many institutions,
Exactly.
and not just financial institutions. Investigating institutions, the Electoral Commission, and I would say Bank of Uganda. Some of this money would be withdrawn directly from Bank of Uganda, and it's not
What?
a rumor.
It's not even a rumor. Like, it is known. Some of this money would be withdrawn from the Bank of Uganda.
I have put these vouchers also there, where money was directly gotten from Bank of Uganda. So there's a time I would ask my sources at Bank of Uganda, and they would tell me, now we cannot help because money is received from the basement where there's no CCTV.
Oh my God.
But a pickup and the speaker's security comes and picks the money.
It was not legal for...
They were receiving money from the basement where there are no cameras. Jimmy Spire Sentongo said why prosecuting her is a delicate matter. This is what is going on. You have Anita Among here, but look at all these people surrounding him. These are all big people, big names. And some of these are close allies to Museveni, or they actually were stealing on behalf of Museveni. Museveni is a chief corrupt officer in Uganda. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you remember a few weeks or months ago, the Museveni criminal regime made a spectacle of raiding former Speaker of Parliament Anita Among's homes, promising Ugandans that no one was above the law. The cameras rolled. We were receiving daily updates and live ones from NTV, NBS, Daily Monitor, and name them, all media houses in Uganda. The headlines screamed. The anti-corruption rhetoric was everywhere. And suddenly, everything went quiet. Just like that. Months later, Anita Among remains out of prison and has not been publicly prosecuted, while some of the very people who worked under her in Parliament, including former Communications Director Chris Obore, have found themselves behind bars. That has left many Ugandans asking the same question. If Anita Among was and is at the center of this corruption, I prefer to call it theft, why does it appear that everyone around her is paying the price while she remains untouched? Now, as you're struggling to answer that question, or probably you know the answer, these old stories are taking an explosive turn. During the Agora Discourse podcast, investigative journalist Agather Atuhaire, one of the key figures who helped expose this corruption of Anita Among and her accomplices and enablers, she claimed that the Bank of Uganda played a role in facilitating this theft. Yes. Now, if those allegations are accurate, this actually brings us to what we've said. This has never been about corruption. It has never been about, we want to what did they call it? Illicit enrichment and corruption. Nah, it has never. And that's what we're going to be showing you tonight in this commentary. Welcome to Mordecai Morissa Live. Let's go.
You're watching Mordecai Morissa Live Political Commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go on and show you this conversation where this gentleman was asking Agather Atuhaire. And listen here.
But let's talk more about, because there are many people who say I think there are still government processes, so you would know that most of these things would not have been possible if other institutions were not complacent. Because maybe I would say who approves, maybe because I also had rumors about Bank of Uganda be issuing this money. So how there's also an issue of microfinance support center. Many people are saying that, most of this corruption could not have been occasioned just by the speaker herself, that it takes other financial institutions to be complacent. Maybe can we talk more about the other institutions that were involved, and perhaps if you think they should also be implicated if the state is serious about corruption?
Absolutely. I think that the impunity of Among was enabled by many institutions, and
Exactly.
not just financial institutions. Investigating institutions, the Electoral Commission, and I would say, why? So the Ministry of Finance is really responsible for financial management in this country, and they were never bothered about issues like reallocations in the budget that became a source of corruption in Parliament in the budgeting cycle, where Parliament would, and by Parliament I mean that leadership would move money from critical areas to other areas where they can get a cut. And the Ministry of Finance, the Minister, the PSST kept quiet. Bank of Uganda, some of this money would be withdrawn directly from Bank of Uganda, and it's not
What?
a rumor.
It's not even a rumor. Like, it is known. Some of this money would be withdrawn from the Bank of Uganda.
I have put these vouchers also there, where money was directly gotten from Bank of Uganda. So,
see, this was never about fighting corruption. And I think she's going to go on and make this point. But there's no way you're going to tell me you go after Anita Among, but then spare Thomas Tayebwa. What are you saying? What are you even doing? Are you kidding us? Anita Among was deputized by Thomas Tayebwa. If Thomas Tayebwa wasn't an accomplice in these corruption schemes of Anita Among, then he's incompetent to be in that position. You're either an accomplice in this theft, or you're so incompetent that you're not able to see these evil, immoral, illegal actions that are being committed around you. So if you're going to promise me, oh, I'm fighting corruption, what is Thomas Tayebwa doing in that office? And what really breaks my heart is there's nothing special about this Thomas Tayebwa guy. He's one of the people I rank in that category of lacks charisma, lacks personality. He lacks the appeal. He just happens to be a dealer who's found himself in that position, and they've known him to be a dealer. He's going to do the job of a useful idiot for Museveni and Museveni.
How does that work?
and I mean, there's a time I would ask my sources at Bank of Uganda, and they would tell me, now we cannot help because money is received from the basement where there's no CCTV.
Oh my God.
But a pickup, and the speaker's security comes and picks the money.
It was
and
not
they go.
legal for...
They were receiving money from the basement where there are no cameras. These folks have footage. When do these cameras, when are they used? They have footage of this money being brought to the Bank of Uganda. Names of people who brought this money or who took this money to the Bank of Uganda. They will not go after them. I think as I talk about this, let me take you to a cartoon that was drawn by Jimmy Spire Sentongo. Watch here. This is what's going on. Jimmy Spire Sentongo said why prosecuting her is a delicate matter. This is what is going on. You have Anita Among here, but look at all these people surrounding him. These are all big people, big names. And some of these are close allies to Museveni, or they actually were stealing on behalf of Museveni. Museveni is a chief corrupt officer in Uganda. So the moment you go Anita Among, you're going to be going after this, this man right here. You go after this religious leader. Looks like a Muslim religious leader. Then you'll be going to this person who owns a pharmacy or a hospital. You'll be going after a policeman, or like you see these here. So it is very difficult. You can actually argue that the Museveni criminal regime is stuck with Anita Among. They're wondering, what do? We have her. See, this is what happens when you do things for the sake of stunts. Oh, let's raid, let's show we are serious. But in the end, people are going to be asking you, okay, what is the purpose? What was the purpose of all this? Now they're stuck with Anita Among. Let's go back to Agather Atuhaire here explaining about this thievery.
Bank of Uganda to give money to her. I don't understand.
I mean, it's illegal. That's not how they,
money is supposed to be dispensed.
Dispensed. I mean, even for the president to pick money from Bank of Uganda, it's they're supposed to be accounts where money from the consolidated fund goes to accounts that are budgeted for.
So the Bank of Uganda money would be gotten directly to surpass the channel.
That had mainly started after our first exhibition, where they did not now want to, and also, by the way, the people we had exhibited who were receiving money on behalf of the speaker had started refusing to receive it, because even during the first exhibition in 2024, these people were interrogated at CID. So,
I'm here thinking, in a country of principles and values, this is a candidate for Attorney General. Now, you might say, hey, Monica, you're biased. I really love Agather Atuhaire. She's one of the people that wrote comments for my book. But in a principled and value country, she deserves to serve in a very good position. But you know what? No. Her accounts, I think, were, she said, they froze her accounts. And they only had like 2 million shillings.
These people now started getting very scared and saying, being hesitant. So that's when now money started being received through Bank of Uganda and the parliamentary circle.
Wow.
What happened later is that it wasn't put on anyone's account. It was by the parliamentary circle. They would get it from the parliamentary circle and give that voucher to the parliamentary circle to be the one to get money from the consolidated fund.
Wow.
So that's when now Bank of Uganda, I think, came in. But I am sure that even before, when money was being put on accounts, it was Bank of Uganda had a duty to regulate that kind of behavior. So of financial impropriety. So when you go to the investigations arms, the Financial Intelligence Authority, for example, they are questioning Agora because one of the reasons that they are questioning Agora, I think, they said suspicious activity, and Agora and me. So, for example, I was told by my bank, Centenary Bank, that FIA went and said that there's suspicious activity on my account.
Mm-hmm.
I think by the time they closed my account, I think I had either 2.7 million Uganda shillings on it, or three, around there.
Okay, we've got to freeze her account, because of suspicious activities. She's got a lot of money. How much? 2 million.
And then I'm asking this lady from the bank. So you, my bank, and FIA, who should know suspicious activity? Because this is just an account that I use to receive my salary. My salary at Agora is not even up to 5 million shillings. And this being Uganda, it's a salary you receive. And by the time the month ends, you have almost depleted the other, So what makes that suspicious? I think the first time I ever had more than 20 million on that account was when people raised money for the March Parliament.
And I don't care whether she has 20, 50, 100 millions, as long as she's not breaking the law. It's so wrong. The country is extremely dead that people who are doing the right thing have got to explain about their money. Well, you have thieves that are being protected by Museveni and Museveni being promoted in positions of power. It is extremely, extremely heartbreaking. Now, she went on to talk about the fact that, this has, the raids and the spectacle had nothing to do with fighting corruption, because there's no political will. Museveni is an accomplice in corruption. A case here in the USA where himself and Patrick Hall, where his name was mentioned, where he received, I think, was it around $500,000 alongside Sam Kahamba Kutesa. These are thieves. His IGG told us, Irene Muriagonja, that thieves hide behind Museveni. You've had, who was it? Bet Oliver Namsangukamia. Again, IGG, who said, you know what? money is being stolen by 15% of folks in government. He's never been interested in fighting corruption. And this is what I was going to say Anita Among, but Agather Atuhaire, Agather Atuhaire, not Anita Among. Agather Atuhaire explains here that there's no political will. All this Museveni is doing is just for, see me, that I'm doing something.
Something. It's not something they take seriously. There's not been political will to fight corruption.
Exactly.
Since the NRM government came to power in 1986. And I don't know, I think it will sound now like a broken record because we've talked about so many of these examples before, so many times where President Museveni has interfered with investigations. There's an IGG who said the thieves hide behind Museveni. There's, all these IGG people that have been in the office of the IGG have been frustrated. Then you have a new pressure group. I don't know if that's what it is, PLU, headed by his son, Museveni, which now comes and says, they are going to be big on corruption. And if you also examine that critically, that's also not true. That's another lie. We can start with one of their senior members, Michael Mawanda, who was put in prison briefly over his role in misappropriating it was about 164 billion Uganda shillings for cooperatives. And, Mohozi himself started calling him a political prisoner, that he shouldn't be in prison. If this was someone...
Imagine a situation where you steal from the country and one of your bosses or people who likes you starts calling you a political prisoner because people are accusing you for the crimes you committed.
Who is very serious about fighting corruption would have, put aside whatever relationship he has with Mawanda and allowed him to be prosecuted. When you see what has happened with the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who was part and parcel of the previous Parliament that was corrupt.
Yep.
That they are now, you have already dropped one of the speaker as speaker. You have prosecuted the people that are involved, but you have shielded one of them.
So on that, I actually wanted to ask you, in this fight against corruption, the fight you've been fighting and up to now, and what the efforts that we are seeing that government or the state is saying, and to be direct in regards to Anita Among, do you now, or have you felt that you and the government, when it comes to fighting the corruption at Parliament and the person who was at the helm, do you feel that you're fighting the same fight?
Absolutely not.
No,
Yep.
I do not think we are fighting the same fight. I think that, for example, in the case of Anita Among, we helped them fight a political fight.
Yep.
So while you are fighting corruption...
Yeah, they are using that to fight their own political fights.
Exactly. So what these folks, the likes of Godwin Toko, Jimmy Spire Sentongo, Agather Atuhaire, and a few other people in Uganda that were stood and, I think they engaged in, was it a corruption exhibition, parliament exhibition? They were fighting for the right thing. They even went and demonstrated only for them to be arrested. A government that really wants to fight corruption, a president that is really hell-bent on fighting corruption, says, hey, grant them the opportunity. Grant them. It is their constitutional right to protest for what is not right. But you know what? They were brutalized. If they really want to go after the corruption of Anita Among, then they would be prosecuting people that are maimed and attacked, young people who are demonstrating. No. They realized that Anita Among was building a few coalitions, and I've told you, and alliances within the Museveni criminal regime, sort of seducing herself into believing that she could be president. And being unpopular as they are, very cowards of the century. They were like, okay, we have to find ways of how we clip the wings of this woman. And only for them to find that, there was something they would use. Everything Anita Among did was endorsed and sanctioned by Museveni. Everything. All this theft, everything. Are you wanting to convince me that Museveni, attended all these events of Anita Among, unveiling a house, unveiling a school, and Museveni wasn't interested? Why did it take him so long to launch investigation? It was never about corruption. It's like right now, if Museveni had any scintilla, an iota of principles, and he wanted to go after Museveni, he would use, see, you've been abducting people and gloating in the same, and then us who have been fighting Museveni for quite some time would be pushed on the side, and Museveni pretend to be like, he's the one who actually cares about the rights of the Ugandan people that have been violated by Museveni. That's what happened. People were already pushing on this front for impeachment of Anita Among, for exposing her. They are doing the right thing. And in a country like Uganda, those people will never be appreciated. The accounts are frozen, they're being targeted, and a lot of other things are being done to them. It is extremely, extremely heartbreaking. So let me know what you think. This was never about corruption. And then I see now the games of, what's his name? Barambalgahara and Namere. We're fighting. Come on. Until they get to a man Museveni doesn't want to be held to account. Museveni will tell them, leave that one. They're going after these few without, names, big names, recognizable names. The moment they go after the likes of Sam Kahamba Kutesa, Museveni will be like, no, now don't do that. Anyways, I want to ask you to go on this platform. It is Agora. Let me show you. It's called Agora, CFR. And please make sure that you watch this entire conversation. She makes interesting points here. And she reviews a lot that you do not know. If you really want to go on and support them, you can subscribe. And yes, for those of you who are interested in fighting corruption, this is the platform. Please go on and support them. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for now. My name is Mordecai Murisa. You let me know what you think. I'll be back here soon. I'll be a little busy, but I'll keep you updated. Please stick around. There's something big coming your way. All right. Bye-bye for now.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.